Now, Anneliese, you can go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So we got everybody who was not on this call, the recording. My name's Anneliese. I am one of the race directors for this event. And we are getting so excited, even though this race is coming up quickly. I am first going to go over all of our aid station accessibility. I know that's been a big question with a lot of people and for crews, which we will be getting that crew Google map out for like driving, but we still need to check on a few of the trails that DNR was going to be clearing for us. So we don't want to get anything out too prematurely that we may need to adjust. But so if you are taking notes, we're going to do the easily accessible aid stations first. And I'm going to give you some notes on them. This will go in the crew guide for you guys to be able to send out to your crews. So don't worry if you can't take notes. Okay, so our most easily accessible aid stations. Aid Station 1 has a parking lot, really easy to get to. For this aid station, we have food-wise, we have our grapes, trail mix, fig bars, coffee, Tailwind, water, Huma, pickles, electrolyte tabs, Coke, and ginger ale. Those last couple, the Tailwind, water, Huma, pickles, electrolyte tabs, Coke, ginger ale, are going to be at all of our aid stations. So I'm not going to go through those for every single one, but letting you know they are at all of them. We are going to alternate, this is another question that's come up, our Tailwind offerings between water stops, aid stations. So like your first water stop, first aid station, they're both going to have naked Tailwind, so non-flavored. Your example, second water stop, second aid station, we're going to have mandarin. We are going to add this to the aid station chart so you have that. The only Tailwind that we have that is caffeinated is our raspberry. So that will be at every third aid station for you. Just so you know, again, that's another question that's come up for us. Back to our aid station accessibility. Aid Station 2. This one has our roadside parking. We ask you to please park along Reams or Warren Road, not Wolverine Road, which is right where the aid station's at. That is a very, very busy road. So if you can park on Reams or Warren, that's going to be the backside of the aid station, and it's a very, very short walk to that aid station for the crews. Again, we don't want anyone to have to be dodging traffic or anything like that. So those are the roads that are going to be the best for crews. Aid Station 3, plenty of parking. This will have pit toilets, as well as for your crews, they have a lot of restaurants around Aid Station 3. So if they're getting hungry, this is going to be the best place for them to stop or pick up something for the road. There are some later on that have restaurants, but this is going to be your biggest variety of restaurants. All of these manned aid stations are also going to have portables or toilets at them if they don't have the pit toilets. So we are going to have porta potty, portable at all of these. Aid Station 4, we ask you to drive slow. This is on a dirt road, so for our racers, and you will definitely want to reiterate this to your crew, if they're driving fast, they're going to be kicking up a lot of dirt, and that dirt is going to be going in your faces. So as long as they're driving slow, it's not going to kick that much up. There is shoulder parking, but we ask crews not to stay too long. This is also at a river crossing, so a little bit of fun. If you want to jump in the river, it has a swing there, and it looks super refreshing. So if you're getting there and you're like, I'm just super hot, there's a river there. Aid Station 6, again, with our easily accessible aid station. So obviously 5's not in there, so we're heading to 6. There's plenty of parking at this one. It is at a parking lot, and it's best accessed from the north. Again, we will put these notes into a crew Google map, but we're going over them now. We will definitely post to the website. We will add it into one of our athlete emails. Aid station 6.5. This is only for our 100Kers. So if you're in the 100K, keep a ear out for this one. But aid station 6.5, this is easily accessible, but there's really minimal shoulder parking. It's a narrow road. It kind of goes into some ditches on the side, so there's not too much parking there. So again, we ask crews not to stay for too long. That way we can allow other crews to get in there, try in with your tracking apps, make sure that you're kind of timing it correctly so you don't have to sit there. Aid station 7. This is also easily accessible, shoulder parking. So we don't want everyone to stay there too long, but this is one where there is more parking. Aid station 9. This one is best accessible from the south. This has street side shoulder parking, just like the one prior, so 7. Aid station 10. This is in Hillman, pretty close to downtown. I guess it would still be considered downtown, but there is a church parking lot there. So there will be more parking Sunday morning, not so much, but as you guys are getting in there, there will be, some parking for crews to kind of hang out and help you guys. The next one is 11. This one is Tournament Park, or if you use a Google map, it calls it Tiger Park. So we reference Tournament Park, but just note if you see it on there, it will say Tiger Park or Tiger Paw Park. This is a great place for your crew to resupply you. They can sit for a while. It is a baseball, they have baseball fields there. So there's a really big parking lot. That's exactly where the aid station will be at. So there's a lot of room for them to kind of hang out. If they need a little rest, great place for that too. Aid station 12. This is a wide road. There's street side parking. We do recommend entering from the south. And up north, there's all of those county roads and all of this. So this is why we're saying from the north and south. Don't want to get stuck coming up to a river and then get your vehicle stuck. Aid station 13. So we're getting closer to the end. This is actually in a park and ride. So there's lots of parking there. Again, great place to stage, take a nap for crews. There's that good amount of parking. So they're not going to be taking up like a side road or anything like that. Last but not least, for our easily accessible is aid station 14. There is not a lot of parking at this one because it is on a side road coming up to a trail. This trail crosses the road. The aid station will be just off of the road, but again, very narrow. So crew won't want to stay there long. If your crew is really gonna, meet you at that last minute, you have those pacers that are coming in for those last miles. They're really gonna want to meet you at 13 because that is a bigger area. Next up, we have our not easily accessible aid stations, which isn't a ton, but still we want to note. Aid station 5. Ideally, you would want to have a 4-wheel vehicle. This is a relay team exchange only. We ask that no crew accesses this area. We say 4-wheel, but you could do it in a regular vehicle, front wheel, rear wheel, car. But that depends on how much you're paying attention. Because these small side roads really end up becoming 2 tracks very quickly. I definitely experienced that. Like I said, it took me into, well, I didn't go in the river, but we were really close to the river and we ended up getting stuck. But this is, depending on the vehicle, you won't want to drive fully in, but that where you can park at and walk the rest of the way in, it's not more than 0.7 miles. So again, for relay teams, aid station 5, if you are parking further out, it's not more than 0.7 miles to get in there. Hannah is going to show where this turnaround spot is at on the map when she gets to her portion. And then our next not easily accessible aid station is going to be aid station 8. This is a relay only. Again, we do ask that crews don't go in there and meet their racers at one of the other ones, like 7 or 9. This is a really narrow one-way road, so there's very, very limited parking. When you get in there, if there's cars coming the opposite direction, there's not many spots for you to be able to pull off to allow the other cars through. Plus, we're going to have racers on the road there. So it just, if we can limit that traffic as much as possible so we're not getting people stuck and having to back up and all of that, this is why we're saying this is a relay only. So as you can see, a lot of our aid stations are really easily accessible. There may be a little bit limited parking, but we do have a good amount of aid stations that have good parking. There's a few that have, you know, bigger areas where crews can sleep. We know it's a long day between Saturday and Sunday, so we want to make sure everyone gets their rest too. I want to note our finish line. So there are parking lots. We're going to be able to use the marina, and then the park has 2 different parking spots or parking lots. We are going to put up a lot of signage to direct individuals of where to park. So it shouldn't be too big of a problem there for parking. I do want to note one of our racers said on Saturday, traffic in Alpena there's going to be a lot of traffic because it is Alpena's homecoming. So just note that for your crews for Saturday. Our 100K start, which is at Tomahawk Lake Campground, there is campsite parking. There's going to be pit toilets, and you can camp there prior. Camping is reserved online, just so you know, but any of the parking spots at the 100K start are going to be campsite parking if you're not taking the shuttle. As a note for our water stops, because we do have water stops in between each of our aid stations. Those are going to be Tailwind, Water, Huma for all of those water stations, but they are unmanned. We also ask that crews, relay teams, do not meet your racers at the water stops. They're small stations. We haven't attributed parking to that. So we ask that you access your racer at the aid stations. We do have the water stops for racers on that Google map, but just so you know, we note for crews, we don't want you at the water stops. We do have 6 drop bags plus your finish line. So once we go through the aid station offerings, we do say that anyone that may have dietary requirements or restrictions, and you see on our chart that there might not be enough fuel for what you're able to eat, we recommend adding that to your aid station drop bags. That's why we've added so many. We know that, you know, racers might need extra shoes and all of that. So we want to make sure that if you don't have a crew, that you are able to do it with all of your drop bags and all of our aid stations and all of our staff help to be able to make it a successful race for you. Okay. Then you can find this on the website, but I'm going to go over our aid station offerings just so you know them. We haven't changed them around too much. But again, everyone was asking about what flavors of Tailwind, about Huma, and if it's caffeinated, non-caffeinated. Like I said, our Tailwind, we have Naked, Mandarin, Raspberry, Raspberries are only caffeinated one. We're looking at possibly adding in a watermelon, which is exciting. We hope everyone likes that one. And then our Huma gels, we add a variety to each aid station. So there's not going to be a specific flavor at just solely one. And we do have a variety between caffeinated and non-caffeinated. I would say we have more non-caffeinated of those, but we still have a variety. Would everyone like me to go over all the aid station food? Or has everyone looked over that pretty well?
I think we can let everyone look at the chart.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if it
Yeah.
was like, yes, everyone, I wouldn't go through it. I would do that. But
and plus it hasn't changed other than adding the fact also that you guys added that there are first aid at every aid station and women's menstrual products at all aid stations. So I think it's all on there.
Yep. We are also going to be adding some cold weather items. We're going to have cots. We're going to have warming blankets, but also throws, heaters. And these are especially at our like halfway point and further, like our later aid stations. We also have hot hands in case you don't have those in your drop bags. We're going to have those available for people. We're going to have good wipes, so clean off your body wherever you need to clean. We will have those available for racers as well as at all of our aid stations. So we're really trying to stock them with everything you could need, during your run.
And then, Anneliese, since you have been talking about aid stations, there is a question in the chat that I think is probably reasonable to answer here. 8 and 9 are not great for crew and cars, but on the Google map, we recommend meeting at basically 64 or 69. So basically, we just gave alternate locations. Can we swap pacers here? I don't think that we have a rule about where you can swap in and out pacers, correct?
Correct. They would be allowed to switch there.
As long as they have their bib. They have to be wearing their bib. If your pacer does not have their bib, they don't have a waiver, we are going to pull them off course. The volunteers are going to pull them when they see them. If we cannot see a bib, again, they will be pulled immediately. We don't want, we're looking out for everybody's safety.
Yep, perfect. All right, Erica, let me know if that doesn't, yep, okay, great. Keep going, Anneliese.
Okay. Next up, oh, nope. So crew and relay rules. So as you saw, and obviously Megan just said, you can swap out your pacers wherever you would like, and there are areas where we say, okay, you cannot have your crew meet you there, but they can meet you at the next aid station. They can meet you on the side of the road in these areas, but some of our rules are you cannot receive aid from a moving vehicle. That does not mean that they cannot provide your aid on the side of the road where they've stopped, where there's like a safe area, they see you, you're able to stop, or you've planned alternate locations with your crew to be able to get your aid at certain points. We are happy to have you get your aid wherever a moving vehicle. If we do find you receiving aid from a moving vehicle, that is a DQ. Just so you know, we want everyone to be safe, we want it to be fair for everybody. But they can meet you on the side of the road. It doesn't have to be at our aid stations.
And a question about pacing.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay. Jeremy, is it okay if his kids pace? Is there an age restriction on pacers?
We do not have
an age restriction
on the pacers.
No.
Again, as long as they have a waiver.
Running.
Yep, and they have a waiver and they have their, and We might check to see if it's registered to that pacer just to make sure, but no, there is no age restriction.
And you can have as many pacers
Okay.
as you want. There's no limit for athletes.
I do, in regards to pacers, I do, and brought it up, can they pick their pacer bibs up for their pacers? You are allowed to pick the pacer bibs up, but they have to be registered ahead of time. They have to have their waiver signed. And when you see them on course, they have to have their pacer bib on them. But you can indeed pick them up.
Is it okay to ask a question?
Go for it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So with regard to the pacer bibs, each individual pacer is going to get one. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank
Yes.
you.
And then, you know, this, I mean, since we're talking pacers and crew right now, a question from the submitted questions. Is it okay if my crew / pacers have 2 cars, but they are never at the same aid station or location at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. So your crew, we will have paper to put in the window, like very bright paper, where they will put crew, they will put your bib number on it, so that if there's specific places on course that we're trying to limit traffic, we know that they are with the race. So as long as they have that visible in both vehicles, that's not a problem. Okay, and I think that's all I have. I think I'm going to hand it over to Hannah to go over the trail.
Yes. I'm going to quick walk through just go through the race and go over each trail type so you guys are kind of familiar with that. I'm going to quick share my screen. All right. Can you see it?
We got you, Hannah.
All right. I'm going to start with 100 mile. I'm going to try and be thorough, but also go through this kind of quickly because I don't want to take up all of your time tonight. So we start over in Petoskey, and you are able to run and touch the water if you wanted to, like lake to lake completely. So you can quick touch the water here in Lake Michigan, and then we'll have our start line here where you will, we'll just start in the field and then head down here onto a bike path where you will then turn and cross the street, and then it turns into a bit of a single track dirt path that you will take along the river, and then it turns into a bike path not too far in. So this is all here paved bike path. And then we cross onto Sheridan, stay on the side of the road up till here. And then when you turn off of Standish, this is a pretty decently steep gravel road. That's just a quick cut through up into the college campus, which you will run through the back of the parking lot and then enter their nature preserve. This is it's a beautiful area if you get a chance to see it in the light. But it is decently wide and just some nice, very well maintained trail that goes through grass and then through woods. So that's about a mile long of that trail within the college, their nature preserve. And then we enter the North Country Trail and then go on to Greenwood. All of these roads back here are all very wide open. You can see for miles, rolling hills. I would say it's beautiful, but also there are lots of hills in this area. So that goes for Greenwood as well as Cedar Valley in Shenley. And then we go here onto Burbaker, where you will enter the Skyline Trail. The Skyline is also a really well maintained single track hiking path. So you will stick on that all the way through here. Then you enter King Road, which is a dirt road. You'll just follow that along the corner before entering the trail once again. And the DNR has done an amazing job cleaning up these trails since the ice storm. It's been incredible to see the progress from us going up early spring to now. You guys are gonna love it. It's amazing. And then they exit the trail at Taylor Road, which is a very sandy road. I would not recommend any crew trying to drive down here. You can totally meet them on Maxwell or Harmon if you would like to meet up with your athletes, but you will get stuck on Taylor probably. So then you will jog up to Maxwell, cross Harmon Road, and then down here entering the trail once more. Up until County Line Road. So County Line Road is a dirt road. It is 2 lanes wide. So this one it's very easily accessible, great to drive on, but it's not a busy road, but dirt does turn up pretty well. So when you're driving on it, just be careful to drive extra slowly there so that the athletes can breathe. And then the last, I would say, about mile of this road turns into dirt, much more gravel, single track, or like one-way road that cars cannot drive on, but you guys will be fine to run through. And then we enter one of our aid stations on Wolverine Road. And then this is where Anneliese was talking about not parking here, but parking along these roads here. It's a real short walk onto the aid station from there. And then you guys will be running on the shoulder of Wolverine. It does have a very wide shoulder, so just make sure you obey the rules of the road, staying to the shoulder, to the side, that you will stay on Wolverine all the way through here and through Wolverine town itself. And taking a quick jog to Baylord to cross the highway, cross the main road there through town, and then come to Lumberman Village Park, where there is the pit toilet and another aid station. And my laptop is dying. Let me quick plug it in. Okay. And then we will continue down the road, go over the highway. This is one area that you lose the majority of the shoulder crossing the highway. So just we'll have lights and cones and people out there to make sure that it's a safe crossing. It is a bridge over the highway. You're not running across the highway, so don't worry about that. And then the road turns into Webb Road, which is paved about through Congdon Road and then turns into gravel. And then you were running on gravel road all the way here through Webb. This is all gravel. And so the majority of this road is not shaded until you get to about here, where then there is tree coverage on both sides, and then you'll get shade. And then here is the river crossing aid station if you want to jump in the river, continue down Webb Road. Excuse me. And then you will enter North Country Trail, I believe it is. Highland Trail. And go all through here. And then continue on the trail. It's a great trail. So this is aid station 5 that Anneliese was saying that it is not easily accessible for crew. So no crew, but it is accessible for the relay teams.
Hey, Hannah.
Yep.
Before you keep going, talk shoes to us once you get on this section of trail.
You see,
I know it's very rocks, roots, sand, mud. What are you seeing these days?
It is, at this point, the sand is significantly less soft than it was earlier in the season. It's pretty well packed down, and it's really dependent on how much rain you get. Last time we went up there, it was a lot of rain, so the dirt roads were all very like patches of flooded. Not anything you can necessarily avoid, but not anything more than ankle deep. But the trail itself, I would say, is fairly rooty, minimally rocky in parts, and a lot of it after about here turns into softer and is like there's fields of ferns growing around, so it's a lot more open feeling and less roots of trees.
Cool. Thank you.
I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, everyone's going to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
So, yep. Thank you.
So, Doobie Lake Road here is one of the spots that we recommend crew just turn around here and then walk to this aid station if you are, for the relay exchange, if you are worried about turning around, because it is difficult for two-way traffic at this point, but it would be possible if you guys can finagle around it. So we're not completely outlawing it, just recommending that if you're not comfortable with that, then you turn around here at Doobie Lake Road and then have your crew walk the rest of the road to the aid station here. And so this walk is 0.7 miles. You are welcome to continue up until this point if you're comfortable trying to finagle your car and turn yourself around. So then you will continue on this path and head down Schwartz Trail. This is, we were just out there last week. It looks really good right now. Great condition. I would say it is minimally rooty. It's not very rooty in this area. Same goes for after you cross the center line. And if your crew is looking for just a spot to like drive past, we'll add this to the crew map as well. But this is a great spot for your crew to stop and see you along the route if they're looking to see you again because they couldn't previously at the last aid station. Here's another good chunk of trail. It's all, I would say, very single track hiking trail. And this one gets into a little bit more rooty than the last section. Here is after another one of our aid stations, entering the trail. And I would say this section of trail is a bit wider than the previous two. And it is unshaded for the first quarter mile, and then it will go back into the shade here. So then this is all shaded under trees.
And Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're still within the first, like we're coming up on the end of the first 40 miles, correct?
Yes. So we're about to join up with the 100K.
Thank you.
So, and then we cross, here's another of our main road crossings. So we'll just be sure to look out for cars. There's not, I wouldn't say it's busy, but the cars that do come quick, but you can see for miles ahead. So as long as you're looking both ways, you'll be fine. And then we get to the point where the 100K is going to meet up. So I'm going to quick jump to the 100K start, which is Tomahawk Lake Forest Campground. And then we are going to do a quick lap around here. This is all gravel road, as well as Tomahawk Lake Road. And then we enter the, this is a unimproved road. By unimproved road this time, I mean like you can one directional car and barely dirt, very dirty, dirt-like, not gravel. So goes for all of this. And then we go into Here we enter trail. Web road. Then it'll lay down here. This is the aid station 6.5, so only the 100K aid station. And then the trail here, I would say we're back to the single track trail. And then meeting up with the 100-mile. Continuing through the trail. Some of this turns into right around here motorcycle path. So that is a much narrow, more sandy path. So the stretch from meeting up until Tomahawk Lake Road is more sand and narrow. And then this is a limestone highway path. Continuing here through Spring Lake Road. And then in our aid station. And then this is a dirt road, two-way dirt road. And then quick jot over to enter more back on the trails. And then lots more of the same, alternating a bit between hiking trail and motorcycle path in this section, all throughout here. And then we get into this area, which turns into dirt road. So then this is all going to be running just on the side of a dirt road that will take us to the county road right outside of Hillman.
Hey, Hannah, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
When you say motorcycle road, do you mean like dirt bike?
Dirt bike. It's called a motorcycle path, but it is a dirt bike path. Yes.
Okay. So dirt bike, not like, okay. Thank you.
Not like a road motorcycle that, no.
I was having trouble reconciling trail and motorcycle. So cool.
Dirt bike. Well, we'll call it that. And then County Line Road is a busier highway, but it does have a good shoulder. So here you will all be on the shoulder following the rules of traffic, rules of the road. And then we get to our aid station here at the corner and then turn south down towards Hillman itself. And this is I would say like a typical small town road that will take you along here. You can be on the sidewalk until you get to turning into here. And then, I take it back. This is not your small town road. This one's your small town road. So this is taking you in through town where you will enter the path that takes you through the park and then onto the Alpena Hillman Trail, which is starts off as grassy, well-mowed path all throughout here, and then we'll turn into the crushed limestone. So we're going to take a quick jot down. This is one of the changes to our course due to some private property. So we skirt south, head on over until we rejoin the path here. So then we are back on the paved crushed limestone path. And then the crushed limestone takes us all the way back to Alpena, where we will then exit the trail and run along the sides of some roads until we get to our finish line in Bayview Park. Yay! And then from here, you guys, we can, the parking's over here and some over here, and then also the marina. And you can go over and touch the water as well after you complete your race.
Questions from the chat.
Yeah.
Will the trails be open for dirt bikes while we're running? I assume the answer is yes, right?
Yes.
And then have you gotten your eyes on the dirt bike motorcycle trails? Just wondering about rutting.
About like conditions, what it's like right now?
Rutting, like have the dirt bikes caused ruts in the, like a lot of bad ruts
Like
in the trail?
like washboard on a road is what they're talking about. So it's like super like washboardy because bikes, when they take off and slow down, any of that on any of the trails.
I haven't noticed any, but I'll keep an eye out for it the next time we're out there. Good question.
You'd know if you'd know.
Okay. Then no.
Yeah, you would definitely know. And then I'm just trying to look at like course specific. Okay, so Johnny, if you were gonna swap trail to road shoes at a drop bag, would it be drop bag 5? Do you want to come back to that one?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Go ahead.
my assumption would be that he's pointing to where you go to more crushed limestone versus all the other stuff.
I think if you're waiting for, yeah, probably once you enter the Alpina Hillman Trail over here, then for sure you can definitely do road shoes, and you could probably get away with them from here on. But if you're going to wear trail runners, I would recommend that for sure for this section.
Some of these I'm going to come back to. I'm trying to stay course specific right now, but this was, do you recommend poles at all during the run, especially in the sandy sections of the 100 miler? I mean, I know it's a very specific choice.
Yeah.
But
I hiking have been using them just to get around and navigate. I think that all comes down to personal preference. If you are very comfortable with them, I do think this would be a good opportunity to use them. But if you're not used to using them, they're definitely not necessary.
yeah. Can we go to Caleb and the coaching portion? And Hannah, can you respond to some of these other questions that are in the end call messages?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. You guys, we're going to hand it over to Caleb. He is our head coach with Team Wicked Bonkproof. He writes all of our training plans for all of our Trivium Ultras. Caleb, I'm going to just hand it over to you.
Cool. Let me share my presentation real quick. All right. So, hey, everybody. I will not keep you past 9 with my stuff because that's getting close to my bedtime. So I wanted to go through a few things with you. This might be like the first time you're tapering for a big race. This might be something that's really familiar to you, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of had a review of some good taper practices. Also, a few things for race week and race morning, and then a little bit about how I would recommend sort of going through race execution as well. As we're going through this, just bear in mind that if you're running the 50K, you're on Sunday and everybody else is on Saturday. So you're going to have to think a little bit differently in terms of how your week is paced during race week, because I'm going to talk about carb loading, and that, is based on a 4-day window. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through anything that's sort of like, related to X number of days before you race, and just make sure that you're planning for the appropriate day during race week. So most likely, if you're following one of our plans, or if you're sticking to kind of a traditional training approach, you're going to have your longest long run this coming weekend. You might have had it this last weekend. Sometimes people will put their longest long run, particularly for 100 miler, about 4 weeks out. So you're either already into your taper or you're about to be there. And some people really like that phase, and some people sort of start to get anxious and antsy. The main thing I want to stress with tapering is once you're within about 3 weeks of race day, you are done adding any fitness that you can. So your body takes anywhere from like 2.5 to 3.5 weeks to adapt to a long stimulus. So doing extra long runs after this weekend is not going to help your race in any way. So whatever you have planned for this weekend, if it's your longest run or if you've already done that, that's the point at which you're going to want to start pulling things back. And so just remember that you can't add any more fitness after this weekend. So it's really time to focus on recovery and adaptation mode. A few basic things about tapering. Like I said on the previous page, you cannot add any fitness, but you can get more fresh for race day. So really shift your focus. Remember that rest and recovery is not the absence of training. It's actually just a different process that is equally as important, and it becomes more important the closer you get to race day. So focus on becoming more fresh and race ready, and you'll be in a really good position for your race day. You do want to stick to your normal weekly routine as you taper. So the number of days per week that you do various training methodologies, so whether that's running or cross training or lifting or whatever. So stick to that normal weekly routine, but just make sure that you're dialing things back. I usually like to have my athletes cut about 20 to 25% of their training volume on a weekly basis through the taper. And that means that by the time you're hitting race week, you're going to be down around half of your normal training load. You will benefit from carb loading if you're racing longer than 90 minutes. So everybody who is preparing for an ultra will benefit from doing a carb load, and I'll talk about how to approach that in just a moment. And then lastly, the taper, and particularly race week and race day, is not time to try new things. So if you're considering a new pair of shoes, even if it's a model that you've worn 6 or 7 pairs of over the last year or two, make sure that you get those now so you can do at least a few runs in those. If you're going to be using any equipment during this race that you don't currently have in hand, get it as soon as possible and make sure you're doing some practice with it, whether that's a pack, a vest, if you're going to use poles, anything, that you might have on and around your person, you want to make sure that you're fully familiar with. So get all those things ironed out as soon as possible. And that way you're not really tinkering with anything that could go sideways during race week. When you get to race week, like I said, you're going to probably be about half your normal training volume, of course, subtracting out your race, since you're going to be doing an ultra. You're going to have some extra time on your hands. So I usually recommend using race week as a time to finish planning. If you are traveling, a longer distance for this race, you're probably going to want to do this earlier in the week just to make sure everything's good to go. But do a last, course review once or twice during race week. Make sure all of your logistics are planned out in terms of if you're going to have crew meeting you anywhere, where that's going to be, when you want them there, rough ideas of about how long you think each phase of your race is going to take. If you're traveling in particular, make sure that you plan ahead for what things you're going to eat in the last couple of days before the race, so that what's going to be on hand, and you can make sure that you have things that you know and trust. And then again, just make sure that you make a list of what you're going to have to need for your gear, what your race plan is going to be, and then look at the weather, a couple of times during race week and make any adjustments that you might have to related to that. But again, this is a great way to make sure that you spend less time just sort of sitting and stewing about how the race might go. And this way you sort of start to take control of everything by just, fully planning it out. Aside from that, this is a really good time to do other activities that are going to keep you off your feet. So plan for some restful activities during race week. Make sure it's not a super full, completely packed week of activities that are going to be, out of the house, and just spend some extra time resting with your feet up. So when you get to about 4 days before your race, so if you're doing 100-mile or 100K, that means that you're going to start this process on Tuesday. And if you're doing the 50K, you're going to start this process on Wednesday. You want to start doing a carb load. If you've never carb loaded for a race before, you may have some, ideas about what it is. It's definitely not just eating a huge bowl or plate of pasta every night, although that can be part of it if it works well for you. It's also not just having nothing but carbs, one day before the race. So the most effective carb loading strategy takes place over the period of about 4 days. So again, start this on Tuesday if you're doing the 100-miler. What you want to do is think in terms of replacing other nutrients that would normally be in your diet with carbohydrates. So you're not adding additional calories on top of what you usually eat. You're just taking some of those protein and fat calories that you normally get, and you're replacing those with carbohydrates. what you want to target is about 3/4 or so of your total daily intake being carbs. And that can be all sorts of different sources. You may find that earlier on in this process, you feel great having things with lots of complex carbohydrates like whole wheat bread and brown rice and sweet potatoes and things like that. But as you get close to race day, you're probably going to get a little burned out on that. And so it's a good idea to start shifting, if you haven't already done so, to some more refined, simple carbohydrates, especially the last day before the race. So my go-to before a big like ultra or marathon is to get a huge bag of Sour Patch Kids and like a couple of boxes of sugar cereal and just kind of go nuts on those for the last 24 hours before a race. It's almost pure carbohydrates and it's very easy to digest. And it's a lot easier than trying to get in a whole bunch of stuff with like a lot of fiber and other stuff that goes along with some of those more complex carbs. So that's what you want to do. It's really just a process of taking normal calories, replacing them with carbohydrates, and shooting for about 3/4 or so of your daily intake. And then the point at which you want to sort of stop doing this process is for pre-race dinner, because that's something where you want to just eat a meal that you know and trust and you've had before, you know, some of your long runs and you know works well and sits well on your stomach. So if that's not very carb rich, that's totally fine. If you've been doing the proper carb load for the previous 4 days, you're going to be in good shape. So, and then same thing with breakfast before the race. You want to stick with something that you know and trust. It doesn't have to be super carby if that's not what you normally do. The last day, if you're like me, you're probably a ball of anxiety before a big race. So having a plan for what you're going to do within the last 24 hours is really helpful. Again, in this window, you definitely want to stick with things you know and trust. That goes for everything you put inside your body. And like I said before, reducing the fiber content you're taking in as well as the fat content that last day can really help with not feeling like you have GI issues on race morning. So simple is really good within the last 24 hours before a race. Again, there's no secret best pre-race breakfast. Just do something that works really well for you and you know and trust. If you have been doing any sort of like pain management with Advil or anything like that, I strongly recommend not having any NSAIDs in your system. So that would be ibuprofen, that would be Aleve, anything similar to that. Don't have any of that in your system for at least 24 hours before you do a long race, and definitely don't take ibuprofen if you can avoid it while running an ultramarathon, because you can have GI issues. It's processed in your kidneys, and so you can actually strongly increase your risk of rhabdo, which is a really bad scene that you don't want to get into. And NSAIDs generally lower your oxygen carrying capacity because of how they act on your bloodstream. And so if you do need to do anything to manage a little bit of discomfort, acetaminophen, Tylenol is okay because it's an analgesic and works on the nervous system, and it's processed in your liver and it's safe within your body as long as you stick to the daily limit. So please don't take Advil if you can avoid it. Also within 24 hours, work on preloading some electrolytes. And the last thing I always recommend people do before they head to bed before a race is check all their race gear. And if you want to lay it all out and make sure everything's there and ready to go, that's one way to do it. And then sit down and write a race day schedule and a plan for how you want the day to go. And I would recommend that schedule going from the moment you wake up, whatever time you set your alarm for, all the way through maybe even the end of the race, with some general time checks for you where you want to be through different phases of the race. You might just write it out for waking up until the race start, and then you kind of know what you're going to do from there. But having a schedule and a plan written down before you go to bed is a real big sort of like load off. You don't have to worry about missing anything on race morning. You can just wake up and look at your list and check things off as you go. So a typical race morning might look like this. 2 hours, you want to get up and start eating. by 90 minutes, you want to have everything in your body that you're going to consume before the race in terms of your breakfast and your major fluid intake. You might do a little bit of a warm up, about 25 minutes. You could also put in here, like, get to the shuttle at X time, whatever it might be. One last thing I'll recommend from a fueling perspective pre-race would be to take 1 serving of your favorite fuel of choice. So about 100 calories of carbohydrates with a little bit of fluid, about 10 or 15 minutes before you start. That's a great way to make sure that your digestive system is already working when you start the race, so it's ready to accept more calories as you go. And then, in the last 10 minutes, get in the corral and you're good to go. But again, just make sure you have a plan and you've written it down, and that way you can stick to it much more easily on race day. A couple of things about race execution. I'm not going to read all of these, but just to hit the high level stuff, do have a plan and make sure you stick to it as long as possible. A lot of people outrun their fitness early on in a race because they've had a good taper. So just make sure that you're sticking to the plan based on how you trained and how you want the race day to go. Make sure your fueling, particularly as the race gets longer and longer, is based on time rather than distance. So your caloric burn rate is time-based within your body. So make sure that you're actually refueling to match that. I'd recommend sticking with what's worked well for you during training, but that hopefully is somewhere between 25 at the very, very low end, all the way up to 60 or more grams of carbohydrates per hour. But make sure it matches what you were practicing during your long training runs. If you do get to the last hour or so of racing and you feel like you need a boost, any calories you put in at that point are probably not going to hit your bloodstream before you're done, but they can still just give you an energy boost simply by being in your mouth. So a little bit of like electrolyte drink or a gel in that last 30 to 60 minutes can help you reach the finish line if you're feeling really low. Remember that steady intake of fuel is always going to work better for your body than trying to take in a whole lot at once with big breaks in between. And if you can mix up your fuel types, whether that's different carbohydrate types or just, mixing in some solid foods and other things, even with some protein, etc., that's going to be easier for your system to manage as the race gets longer and longer. So try to mix it up and take in multiple different types of things, and go with a slow and steady intake approach. And remember, fluid is always necessary for digestion. So if you feel thirsty, you should be drinking. And it's a really good idea, even if it's not a hot day, to be taking in electrolytes throughout the race. So take advantage of the tailwind at the aid stations that's got plenty of electrolytes in it, or use a product that works well for you, either in your handhelds or your pack or whatever you're taking. But you are going to be losing electrolytes every moment that you're sweating. So do your best to replace those as well as you can. Okay. We got one question from a coaching perspective. I'll pause after this one, and if anybody has any other questions, you can ask those. But again, I don't want to keep you all too long. So the one question we got from folks ahead of the time was basically, what do I do if I've missed a little bit of training, particularly in the last couple of weeks because of an injury, and I missed some of my key long runs? Should I be trying to make those up at this point to get back on my training schedule? This is always something that comes up toward the end of ultramarathon and marathon training cycles. I will say that probably 8 out of 10 runners will miss a long run or two or more during a long training cycle. It's very normal for a various number of reasons, but I always advise my athletes to focus on being 100% healthy on race day rather than being 100% trained based on what the plan said. So if you're worried at all about, how you're feeling because you've been dealing with an injury, make sure that you're focused on getting fully healthy first and foremost. You can train to the degree that your body is allowing at this point, but don't try to force any makeup runs into things at this point. As I said way back at the beginning of my slides, you can't get any fitter after this weekend. So, do what you can at this point and then focus fully on just making sure that you're recovered and ready to go on race day. That way you'll take advantage of all the fitness you did build before you had to take a little bit of a break, and you can put all that to good use in the race without risking a bigger injury. So focus on health first, fitness second. Okay. If you have any other questions, my email address, or the email address for everybody that works with me, is on the screen right now. It's contact@wickedbonkproof.com. Feel free to email anytime. Any other questions about taper, race week, race day strategy that anybody else has while we're here?
And y'all can go off mute, or you can put questions in the chat. We sent out we did a virtual like panel last week on running through cold weather and overnight, because it's October, it's early October, and everyone sort of forgets about how to do that. And even if you live here, it's a surprise. And especially if you live somewhere warm. So we have the link to that on the virtual clinics page if you want to go watch it. But Caleb, if you have anything you want to say about that.
I mean,
yeah.
For a longer race, or for races in general, I always recommend, assume that your body is going to feel a little bit too colder than normal when you start because of nervous energy and everything else associated with a race. But always think in layers in terms of what you're putting on your body. Give yourself options and use your drop bags so that you can swap things in and out based on how you're feeling. And then also, whatever the temperature is on race day, assume that you are going to feel about 10 to 12 degrees warmer once you get fully warmed up. So if it's going to be a cold night and it's going to be, in the 40s, assume that it's going to feel sort of around 50 degrees in your personal microclimate, because you're going to be warm. But yeah, have layers, have options, and you'll always feel a little bit warmer than the actual ambient temperature once you get warmed up, are the three big things that I always recommend for folks.
Cool. And then we talked about how if you are slowing down a lot because you've started to get tired, because it's, getting towards that 3, 4, 5 a.m. point, then you will probably start to feel a little colder. Get your wet clothes off. We will have hot food, hot broth at the aid stations. We'll have cots if you need to take a nap. Hey, Caleb, you want to talk about how napping is okay?
It's definitely okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to continue moving forward. Sometimes that's taking a little break.
Yeah, and our volunteers will not let you sleep too long. If you tell them you don't want to sleep more than 20 minutes, they won't let you sleep through the end of the race. Let's see. Yes, if you leave a drop bag, thank you, Hannah, but I will say it out loud. And all the drop bags end up back at the finish line. They will not be there immediately. You may have to wait a little bit, but all the drop bags end up back at the finish line. Yes, lots of thank you, Caleb's. Thank you. But everyone, trust your training. Whatever you have done, it is enough. It is not one specific training block or run that's going to get you to the finish line. So all of you are fine. Yeah, I guess if anyone has any more training related questions, Caleb's email is on the screen. You can put them in the in-call messages. I think it might be a good time to go back to some of the questions that were pre-submitted, but Caleb, I know it is past your bedtime. So if you want to head out, thank you so much for being here this evening.
You bet. Yeah, folks, please feel free to email me. If you have freakouts during your taper, I'd be happy to answer questions. I get a couple every single time, and I'm always happy to answer them. So yeah, reach out if you need anything, but enjoy the next few weeks and then have great races. I'm sure everybody's going to have a good day. All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Caleb. We're just going to kind of go through some of the questions that were pre-submitted. If anyone needs to drop, we totally understand. But we'll hang out. Anneliese, did you want to go through some specific ones that you had in mind?
I can, as long as the kids kind of stay quiet.
Yeah, and Hannah and I'll jump in too. I've got one pulled up right now. That's an easy one to answer. What will be at the aid stations other than fuel and first aid? Will there be chairs or a cot to rest for a couple minutes on? I think the aid station chart covers pretty much everything. There will be a cot at each aid station, right, y'all?
The later ones, we won't
The
have them at the first ones, but once it gets later in the course, we haven't quite decided which one we're going to start it at, but once we have that information, we'll add it to the chart. But all of them will have chairs, so you'll always be able to have somewhere to sit down, rest your feet, take a minute.
Although
More
beware
camping style chairs, so you're not going to be low to the ground. You don't have to get up too far.
beware the chair. Uh,
There.
I'm gonna put that on a sign. Do y'all want to talk about the adjusted 50K cutoff times real quick?
Yes, let me pull them up.
So, and as Hannah's pulling them up, everyone, we adjusted them in the runner's favor earlier today. I literally just before this meeting updated social media. So if you were looking at something from today, it is up to date.
Yep, so the 50K, the regular 50K, not the early start, first occurrence cutoff is 8:41. Second occurrence is 11:20. And we're saying first occurrence, second occurrence because it is all at the same location. Aid station 13, you pass it once on the way out and again on the way back. And then for the early start, it is 7:45 first occurrence and 10:46 second occurrence on the way back. So those are updated in the athlete guide and on the aid station chart.
Cool. And then I'm just going to keep whipping through these. So I think we already answered this, but Pacers, from Nick, do my Pacers have to be there to get their bibs, or can crew take them to the Pacers? And that is fine, right? The crew, anyone can get the Pacer bib, yeah. And then when and where do 50K racers get their race packets? Go for it.
They can get them on Friday night, same as when everybody else picks them up, or you can do it race morning before the start of your race.
At your start finish line.
At your start finish line. So it'll be in Alpena, and 4:30 is the starter packet pickup for the normal 50Kers. And we'll just pull all the packets for anyone who decides to do the early start 50K.
All right, and now we are going to open a big old can of worms. So the big old question is always, does this meet your lights and reflective gear requirements? So do you want to start by just addressing what gear check means? Because some people are new.
Yeah, so we're requiring a forward-facing and a rear-facing light and reflective. So that can be a headlamp, it can be a vest with those straps, it can be anything along those lines that is, we are requiring, and then we're also requiring a backup. So the backup can be a battery pack, extra batteries, or it can be a full another light source, just so that we make sure that you guys are safe out there.
And when you say, I'm sorry, I'll just clarify. If you all look at the athlete guide, it tells you the specific times that it is required. You don't have to have it with you the entire time. Like you don't have to have it with you at noon, but you do have to have it with you at night. And then if it's raining hard, right, Hannah?
Yes, we do so it's typically designed for from dusk till dawn, anytime where visibility could be diminished, but we also put in the caveat of in heavy rainfall, just to be prepared to grab those from your drop bag in the event that there is limited visibility because of that rain.
Cool. And then yes, if your running vest or your hydration pack has reflective tape or lines on it, that is fine. That qualifies as your rear, your reflective. We put some more examples in the athlete guide of some reflective and light up gear. There is also an example in there of, help me with this, Hannah, rear red lights. What is that again? How does that go?
Yep. Rear red lights.
Yeah, so rear red lights, there's an example of those in the athlete guide. I can't find who it was, but someone was asking for some good headlamp suggestions. So earlier today, I put a couple of links to Petzl, which is my favorite, but then one of my athletes has these like super cheap headlamps that he gets on Amazon in like packs of 8, and they're super bright, and like they may not be like as durable or long lasting as the Petzls, but they get the job done, especially if you need a backup and you want one on your way, you know, like there's, yeah. So I put those links in the athlete guide earlier today. Tim, go for it. Tim?
Feel free to unmute and ask your question if you'd like.
Oh, right. Tim, you can interrupt me. You can just interrupt me when you're ready. But there's a good question about basically, I'm just gonna have to read the whole thing. I can't summarize this. So regarding the requirement for lights, I read this as requiring primary and backup and spare batteries for both primary and backup. This obviously makes sense for the head, chest, waist lamp, and consistent with many other races. Makes sense to have a spare rear red lamp. Very good. But can I just check that you want us to carry spare batteries for the 2 rear red lamps also? I will have 2 clip-on LED lights, but usually they have those small 2032 batteries. Basically, can you just elaborate on like how many backup batteries you are, like, what kind of backup batteries are you looking for?
I'm going to need to reread the rules because my understanding was the backup is enough in itself and you don't need light extra batteries for that. But now I'm second guessing myself. So
Okay.
give me a second.
Check that and we'll keep
Yeah.
looking. Oh, this was a good tip. If you have hand warmers in your drop bags and if you can have your crew pre-activate them for you, because you have to expose them to air to activate them. But I also think we'll have we're gonna have those hot hands at the like overnight aid stations along with
Yes,
blankets.
we already ordered them. They will.
Nice. Someone wants to know if gaiters will be useful. I mean, there's sand. There could be. I mean, you know, depends on if it rains. You know, I mean, Hannah, you've been out there the most. I feel like
would say not. I haven't found them necessary, but if you are comfortable wearing them, it couldn't hurt.
yeah, personal preference.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's asking in the chat rules around electronics, specifically headphones, cell phones. I get where you're coming from. Cell phones are fine. In fact, they're helpful. You know, you might want a backup battery pack for them, and you will definitely lose cell service at some point. But you know, those are fine. Headphones, you guys, do we care as long as you can hear?
Yes, we definitely want you to be able to hear what's around you. And I don't know if it's written, but I wouldn't do any of the over the ears, but anything like shocks are great because you can still hear everything around you. Maybe one earbud if you're using earbuds, just whatever you can do to still stay aware of your surroundings because there is a lot of wildlife out there. We've seen bears in the area. So just so that you can hear anything out there.
Yeah, this is not a USATF road marathon, so
Yeah.
you know we want you to be comfortable. Hannah, are you ready?
Yeah. So we're gonna go with you need your primary and a backup, whether the backup is your batteries or the backup is another light source, either will work.
That was my interpretation too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then okay, so everyone, I created a video today that is explaining how to use our Google Map to basically create your own Google Map that your crew can use offline. You are going to lose cell at some point, and so it will be helpful for them if you can create something that they can use to navigate even when they're offline. It is, I just uploaded it to YouTube. I have not gotten to get it onto the website yet. I will do that later. I'm sorry, I will do that tomorrow. But I will say it is not something you want to leave until the very last second, especially if you're not super tech savvy. Especially because then if your crew isn't super tech savvy, you may want to have a sit down where you walk them through how to use it, but you will lose cellular at some point. So I will get that out ASAP. And then some good questions. The shuttle bus, will there be a start line bag returning to the finish? Oh, I get it. Will they be, if they bring a bag on the bus, will they be able to get that bag back to the finish line?
Yeah, so we're also going to have a drop bag that's marked as finished that you can put anything in from the start line.
Okay, cool. And then are there bathrooms on the bus or a midway rest stop?
We'll get back to you on that. I'm fairly certain that the 100-mile one does, whereas the 50K, not 50K, the 100K would not. But we will get back to you on that. Great question.
But we won't be doing a midway stop. With the timeline we have to get everyone over there, there won't be a stop.
Okay. GPX course of the file, the Strava files are on there, and you can save a GPX file from the Strava files, and they are up to date, correct, y'all?
Yep.
Cool. Taxi Uber drivers in Alpena. Sandy, do you how's the
I did look for that. There is not a taxi service, but there are Uber drivers.
Cool. All right. I think we covered polls. And then is there packet pickup in Petoskey?
There will be, yes, only on the race morning though. So right before the start of the 100-mile, there will be packet pickup, not on Friday.
But early packet pickup will only be in Alpena.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. And then, someone asked about mandatory virtual clinics. Do y'all want to explain how those work?
So we're going to have two options for mandatory meetings. Right, the week leading up to the races is where we will go over the athlete guide and course guide and just go over all the rules, make sure you know the timelines, the cutoffs, everything that's going to be available, just to quick run you through it. You can attend either of the meetings. Don't need to go to both. They'll be identical. You can ask any of your last minute questions, and it's just the last check-in to make sure you know what you're doing.
Cool. I think we kind of got everything. Hold on a second. There's some in the chat. Can you wear your bib on front of shorts versus like your torso?
As long as it's fully visible and not like rolled up or bunched up or anything, that's okay. You might just have to be a little bit more deliberate about shouting out your bib number to the volunteers at every aid station. So if you're okay with that extra hassle, then yeah.
Also, just remember, y'all, especially if you're newer to this, if you end up putting on a jacket, changing your shirt, changing out for a dry hydration pack, you're going to have to move your bib. So those waist belts could be very helpful for you, just so you're not dealing with safety pins, unless, of course, you don't. Yeah. So then
any volunteers are happy to help you with your safety pins, though.
Yes. Oh shoot, it just moved. Do we have the course map downloaded somewhere, or will there be enough signs so we don't get lost? Kathleen, I don't know if you mean like a paper version of it or like a
signs or signal. I read that the course will be very well marked. We're gonna have lots of hanging tape, all the turn signs, so you'll be fine out there on the course without the map downloaded.
I didn't know if I needed to download it to my watch or a phone, because I need to learn how to do that if I need to.
I gotcha. I mean, you don't have to, like, we we are known for drastically over marking our courses. But
You don't have to worry about it at night either, because we do reflective tape on both like the trail marking tape and the signs.
and then let's see. Oh, this is a good one from Peter. Will aid stations know if a runner has passed through in case their pacer/crew misses them or loses signal waiting for them?
Yes. So that's one of the reasons that we do have everyone check in, so that your crew can come up and be like, have they come by yet? And then we can let them know exactly what time you came by, because we keep track of your time in and out of every aid station.
Yeah. Which I mean, which is why you really, when you're going through, even if you don't plan to actually take fuel or hydration, you need to walk up to someone with a binder and say, hey, bib, whatever. Yeah. And then, do you want to talk real quick about how RaceJoy works? Because Erica's asking about timing mat reliability, so that for people who are following along. Or
Anneliese, do you want to take that one?
Yes, I can.
She's our timer. She knows all about it.
So with RaceJoy, what we have is we are going to have timing points out on course. We're going to have quite a few of them. With RaceJoy, they've come up with a feature where even if you don't have your phone with you, as you're passing over our timing points, we are keeping track of your bib. It's showing in not only the RaceJoy app, which someone will be able to go, like download it, go in, look up your bib number and follow you, and they will get updates from it. But we will also be able to, from a timing point, we will have it up on our computer and we will see where you're at on the map. If you don't have your phone, it's actually going to give us an estimated area of where you would be at based on when you're hitting these timing points. So it's going to give it your pace, and it's going to give us an estimated spot of where you're going to be at because of that pace. So we do have a general area. If you have your phone, it's going to give us real-time tracking of where your bib is at, and it's going to keep moving on our RaceJoy map. Again, runners will download it. They will be the participant. Your spectators and crew can download it, and then they will say, hey, I want to follow this bib number. You can actually send out through RaceJoy your like links, so like you invite someone to follow you. A really cool feature of RaceJoy is people can send cheers. So if you're listening or you have a connection to your phone or you're watching, you have headphones in, you'll hear the cheers come along. Or when you cross timing points, you can hear like, okay, timing point 1, timing point 2. So RaceJoy, once you download it, it's pretty easy to use. We have step-by-step guides for it. We can have those at early packet pickup, and there should be links online for it. But it's really an awesome feature that Run Sign Up has that works with our software that we use for timing the race.
And I believe we usually send information about that in the race week emails,
Yep.
but we do need to add it to the website. And then I think, oh yeah, RaceJoy's fancy. Oh, but remember, you guys, if you're, or I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this has changed. Does RaceJoy drain your battery faster?
It does go through faster, yes.
So, backup
So we
battery.
Yeah, I would bring a backup battery pack in one of your drop bags, especially if you're planning on stopping and taking pictures along the way.
And
Fall colors, it'll be gorgeous.
And Jerry, if I'm reading your question correctly, yes, you can, for 50K, you can pick up at the early packet pickup on Friday or before the race on Sunday, right, y'all?
Say that one more time.
Can you just explain when 50K packet pickup is?
50K packet pickup is either Friday afternoon during the traditional packet pickup time or Sunday morning at 4:30 for the normal start time people, and like half an hour before your race for the early starts. So 3:30.
But you guys remember, this is not like this is not 1,000 people road race. You don't need to stress about getting there super early.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Pre-race meetings on the 1st or the 7th will last. They usually last about an hour. It kind of just depends on how many questions people come up with. But it's either or. You don't have to be at both. That's all the questions, I think, unless anyone's got any more stuff. You're so welcome, Gerald. Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. I'm really excited. So if anyone has a question, pop it in there. If you want to stay and hang out, you can. We've got that Facebook group where there's lots of great stuff going on. I'm also really excited because I was talking earlier with someone from Huron 100. We kind of traded. We volunteered at their race, and now they're volunteering at our race, and it's just really so representative of how inclusive and supportive this community is. So when you see them out there, just tell them thank you. Another really cool conversation that we were having earlier today in my Blackbeards ambassador chat was someone asking about, like, if you're running a race by yourself, how do you basically how do you get that crew support, the emotional support that you're not getting? First of all, the volunteers are going to be so amazing, so lean on the volunteers. But we were also talking about how if you put some notes on your drop bags that say something like, hey volunteer, I'm going to be really grumpy at mile 70. They will be even more excited to be like, hey buddy, heard you might be grumpy. So if you are running this by yourself, you will not be by yourself. We promise. We're just really excited to have all of you out there. Northern Michigan's looking beautiful. Yes, trail friends, if y'all are racing this weekend or in the next couple of weekends, have fun, good luck, don't go too hard. But I guess, if anyone needs anything else, we'll stay and hang out, but y'all are welcome to bounce out. Yeah. Thanks everyone. Yeah, Jerry, go for it. You can go off mute if you want, Jerry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just one more question about the lights and reflective stuff. So it says if you have a light up vest, it would count for all of them. So if I have one of those, what kind of backup would I need? Like, would I still need a backup headlamp and the red lights?
So for that one, I would suggest just having batteries for in the event that your primary dies. Or you could go with having an additional headlamp and rear light. So
Okay,
either would work, but whatever you're more comfortable carrying.
Okay, thank you.
But Jerry, does your vest have the red rear lights too?
No. Well, it's just like a Nox gear vest.
Because I can never, some of them seem to and some don't.
So it does depend on the one then. Yes.
So you're saying if he doesn't have the red lights, he would also need the red lights, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Trying to think through how we worded our rules.
I know my brain is mush. Jeff says Nox gear can be color selected for red. That sounds fancy. I trust you. Let's see. Yeah. Cool. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Well, we'll stay around as long as you guys do, but you're welcome to leave if you don't have any questions.
Yeah. That sounds very fancy. Night, everyone. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go get some dinner.
All right. Yeah, I gotta go pack a trailer. Headed out to Pilot.
All right. You guys are awesome. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.